Ahoy there, Bardown Breakdown. You've got Tommy V with you today, and we are super stoked to have in the studio with us, the virtual studio, our homie Steven, vocalist of Haste, touring member of A City's Burn, and multifaceted instrumentalist and composer extraordinaire. So we're really, really pumped to have you with us. There were a couple of hiccups getting us connected, but we're here and we're ready to do the dang thing. So first and foremost, hope you're doing well. Hope all is well with you and yours.
Yeah, man, doing well, Tommy. Thanks for having me on.
Love to hear that. So I've got pages of notes. I don't know if I'm going to get to hit everything. I probably won't. But so first thing we got to talk about, obviously, is Dissenter, right? Coming out May 1st. It's the band's first new material in, what about
10 years?
10 years, right? Yeah.
20, 11
yeah,
years.
Right. 11 years. That's pretty dang good. And, when this episode comes out, we might be dating ourselves, but just yesterday, April 10th, you guys dropped Adrift, as I think the third or fourth single from the record, which is, pretty staggering, to figure, if you got 11 or 12 tracks on the record, you're running through 4 or 5 singles. Although I guess that's kind of like what today's musicians kind of have to do to kind of stay in the game. You got to always be creating that content and stuff. But, so let's talk about Adrift for a little bit. I guess, would you consider it to be like the ballad, quote unquote, of the record?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's kind of akin to White as Snow on Attack of the Wolf King, where we just wanted to get ethereal and
awesome.
But it's still heavy in its own way.
I'd agree with that.
A little. It's the chill part of the record. You need a chill part of the record, especially if it's a heavy record, or else it's nothing hits. If everything hits, then nothing hits.
For sure. No, I totally agree with that. I mean, I feel like unless you're Converge, right? Like you can have like that ballad track, although in Converge's last couple of records, like even though it's still chaotic and wild, they still kind of do have like a slowed down tempo-y kind of like way to break up the record. Now, as far as the tunings that you're using, like I'm definitely hearing some real low shit. So are we using definitely. Are we in like drop A? Are we using 7 strings? So like, what are we doing?
We go from drop B to drop G sharp, and just standard guitars.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty low. We just keep going. Every record gets a little lower. So I don't know. Maybe next record we'll do F sharp. I don't know.
Dude, listen.
Maybe we'll go drop F. I don't know.
Dude, just heavier you can get, just like attach like a piece of rope to like a broomstick and just, and trust me,
like the guitar or the bass or whatever in that Red Hot Chili Peppers video that's like, Flea's like playing the like dum 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 dum.
and it's so funny, like as bass players go, right? I mean, like even if you're not into like funky rock or like all that kind of stuff, like Flea is kind of like as present as they come. But the instrumentals on the tracks that I've heard off of this record are really clean, very it seems very like precise in what you're doing. And I think that that comes a long way from like kind of the metalcore vibe of like the early to mid 2000s, where it was kind of more like you put on record like as good as you could be, and then when you play live you just wow people with how chaotic you are. I mean, I think back to like just off the top of my head, like those first 2 Devil Wears Prada records, right? Like, I mean, fun to listen to, but if you look at, that part of their musical landscape versus some of the newer stuff they've done, I mean, you could see how they've matured instrumentally, tremendously. I mean, a lot of that has to do with, Giuseppe playing drums for them, which we'll definitely get to talking a little bit about, because we had Mike Hranica from Devil Wears Prada on a couple of years ago, and he called Giuseppe the human metronome, is what he called it.
He really is. And he's so much more than that too.
And from what I hear, I hear that he's very much in tune with the writing process, and he has a lot of good things to recommend and to kind of feature in the studio, which is a great thing. I love that. And as it goes, I mean, he's been in the band almost like 15 years now. right?
Yeah. Yeah. Ever since 2009,
2009. So
early
he came
2009, I think.
so he came in a little bit later than you, just a little bit later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
A few years
Okay.
after. Yeah. Because I started off 2006 with the band.
Right.
Um, and then, yeah, then we had Dave join and then Giuseppe join and then Scotty.
Sure. Love that, man. Awesome. Just to take it back a couple of years to, Furnace Fest in 2023, they had asked you guys to play, and it kind of, I guess I'll ask you, is that what sparked the discussion of, getting in the studio and writing and putting out some new material, or was that something that was already kind of like on the chopping block, and Furnace Fest just kind of pushed that in motion? What was that kind of like for you guys?
Yeah, they lit the fire, man. We weren't
Awesome.
planning on it at all.
Awesome.
And Chad reached out enough times and we broke and we were like, yeah, okay, yeah, we should try and figure this out. And it was a process getting everybody to agree to do it.
Sure.
Because I mean, it's a huge ordeal to leave it behind.
Right.
It's a huge ordeal to put it down and move on to your life,
Sure. Sure.
And so picking it back up again can seem quite heavy.
Right.
It was definitely a lot of discussions, a lot of hard discussions. And once we were all on board, and we were, and just playing Furnace Fest, just like, wow, like that set was insane. Energy from the crowd, and the fact that, like, I remember we showed up because when we broke up back in 2011, we were dying as a band. The shows were getting smaller. It was becoming much harder to make money. We weren't even making like part-time wages by then. Yeah, it was hard. Everything was getting hard. So coming back, we were like, we had this meet and greet at Furnace Fest, and the line just like went all the way down the merge tables, and it was huge. It took us like an hour and 15 minutes or something, hour and 30 minutes or something to like get through this whole line. And it was insane. It really blew us away. People still cared. And then when we played that show, it was like, oh my, what an opportunity. Like it would be doing ourselves a disservice to just letting this slip out of our hands. So
right. And not
might as well just,
thread.
yeah, let's just see what happens and write some music and go from there. And we played some shows that year. We played some shows the next year while we kind of started just writing to see what came out. And we expected to put more music out earlier. And it's just, life gets in the way. And
sure.
This is now there's like no pressure. There's no deadline. Like it doesn't matter. Like when we put it out, we're just having fun. And it's more important to us that the music is what we want it to be. And so it took us almost 2 years to write this record, which is the longest we've ever
I was going to
taken.
say it seems like it is. And I mean, talking about what you guys went through in 2011, that's kind of the death knell for so many bands, right?
Yeah.
You get a little bit of traction to start, and then unfortunately the way the music industry was back in the mid to late 2000s, it was a very fickle thing. So many bands had to kind of get real jobs because the money just wasn't coming in. So many great bands, like bands that I loved that, like, I had the first 2 or 3 records of, and I thought they were killer. And then all of a sudden they disappear. And the reality of that is, unless you have some sort of fail safe when you're not making money. And I mean, you're talking about, barely making part-time wages. Like you have to just kind of say to yourself, like, yeah, this is what I would love to do with the rest of my life. But if the money's not there, I've got a family to feed. I've got, people to support, people that are relying on me. And if you can't do it, you can't do it. Now, what I will say though, is, you couldn't have picked a better time to come back, right? Because metalcore, heavy music, hardcore just in general is like in a boom period. And I mean, there are probably a million bands that you can thank for that. If you want to, tip a cap to Knock Loose or Turnstile or whoever you want, go for it. But I think the reality is, you talking about having a line an hour and a half long, it just kind of goes to show you that like people don't forget. Like maybe you
Yeah.
might be out of the immediate rear view, but you know, people see, you know, they see Haste today, and I mean, if you're like me, you just think, oh shit, Blue 42. Well,
Yeah.
I gotta go see, I gotta go see these guys play, you know, play this song that like I must have listened to on my, you know, gold Sony Discman like 100 times.
Yeah.
But there's something that really is so wonderful about that. You know, Furnace Fest, I think from a lot of the people that we've talked to, they seems to be the jumping off point for a lot of bands that came back that, you know, got hounded by Furnace Fest. They said, ah, yeah, you know, we'll do it. We'll do a year and we'll see how it goes. And now, you know, you've got all these bands that are coming back. I mean, I just came across a new Tony Danza tap dance extravaganza
No
song.
way.
Yeah.
No
And
way.
it's good as hell. It's
That's
good.
amazing.
Yeah,
I remember finding those guys on a hardcoremp3.com
I
like
believe that. Yep.
back in like 2002 or
Oh yeah.
something.
Yeah, no, that's where
That's crazy.
that's where I lived my life for a long time. I was on mp3.com, purevolume.com, you
Mhm.
know, obviously MySpace, you know, but um and a lot of stuff that I found out through like really cool samplers and stuff. Like, you know,
Yeah.
Tooth and Nail and Solid State always had great samplers and all that kind of stuff. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah.
I was just gonna bring up songs from the Penalty Box. They
Oh,
used to put that
so
out all the
good.
time.
Yeah, man, it's so good.
I remember jumping at the opportunity to get those.
Yeah.
And usually it was my sisters who would get them first.
Right.
And then I would get like we'd put it on a cassette tape and I'd take the cassette tape
There you
because
go.
they're like 5 years older than me. So
Right. So they
they got all the cool
they
stuff
got the
and
cool
then I
stuff,
would
and
just
yeah,
get
you
the
got the
copy
hand
of
me
it.
downs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
That goes that way. But let's talk about Solid State, man. You guys have had
Yeah.
pretty much a damn near 20 plus year relationship with Solid State. Have you ever been enticed to like move on from Solid State to maybe check out another label? Or so what's it been that's kept you guys linked with them for so long? Has it just been like their ability to let you do what it is that you want to do? Or, you know, what would you say that it is that's kept that relationship going so strong?
Well, it's just always been a good fit for us, and they've been good to us. I mean, especially since coming back, it's like we've got a good relationship with Adam Scatula,
Mm.
who's our A&R there. They do a lot for us to help us get the word out and to help us create things that we want to create, like music videos or whatever. And we also have, you know, it's more of a licensing deal now, so we get to own our masters, which is cool.
Great.
And so we're just kind of like, we're in a good place where it's like we're in control of the music we make, and they're really kind to, you know, help us get it out there and to and you know, yeah, again, like Solid State has just been a good place for us as far as labels, and since nobody's trying to shake the tree, you know, like nobody's trying to like reinvent what Haste the Day is.
Mhm.
Like we just want it to be what it is, and use this opportunity to make some good music. So
Love that. That's
yeah.
fantastic. You know, Solid State and Tooth and Nail have been one of those labels for me. I mean, I'm 39, so I mean, you know, I grew up in that like titular era of like early to mid 2000s, you know, emo and pop punk and hardcore and
Yep.
all that kind of stuff. So I mean, Tooth and Nail and Solid State have been with me since then. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
going back to bands like you know, the Juliana Theory and Further Seems
Oh yeah.
Forever, and you know, Your Me Without Yous and Your Norma Jeans, and you know, all these
90
bands. And
pound wuss.
yep, absolutely. 1,000 Foot Crutch. I mean, like just so
Yeah.
many incredible bands. And it's wild to like see how a label like Tooth and Nail has kind of changed over time. You know, you had back in the early 2000s a band like Slick Shoes fit perfectly
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
on Tooth and Nail. Whereas now, if you look at all the Tooth and Nail bands that are like current artists, like you wouldn't, you know, Slick Shoes wouldn't be caught dead, you know,
Right. Yeah.
you know, on a lineup like that. But that just goes to show you how music changes over time, right? However,
Yeah.
Slick Shoes is probably one of those bands, and I probably haven't done my research enough, but I'm sure they probably played one of the last iterations of Furnace Fest, and I'm sure people probably ate it up, you know, because
Yeah.
Slick Shoes is
I'd see
awesome.
him.
I've seen them a couple of times, and every time I've seen them, they're sick. And but
Yeah.
it's just a testament to show you that, you know, Tooth and Nail's upper management and whoever, you know, kind of puts the ink to the paper knows what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
sure
they've always
they found
had
that with you
some
guys too. Yeah.
talented people there. Like, I mean, Chad Johnson. Everybody knows Chad Johnson. If you've done any research whatsoever, he's
Yep.
signed some of the greatest. You know,
Right.
MXPX, Under Oath.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all that.
Yep, for sure. And it's awesome. So let's chat a little bit about working with Silent Planet on Liminal. So
Yeah.
I think that's such a sick track. You know, their kind of feature on it is not like, I don't think it's like super like grandiose like some features can tend to be. You know, where it's just like kind of a punch in the face. I feel like it's more of a very well mixed in and developed you know, feature, and I kind of love that. So how'd you guys get linked up with Silent Planet to get that cooking?
Yeah, well, we've been friends with him for a while, and Garrett lives not too far from me here in Nashville.
Great.
And so we've, gotten coffee a bunch of times and hung out. And he came and did some guest vocals on a record I was producing for a band called Idle Threat. And that's how we kind of got linked up again and just got to talking. And eventually he had some other features he needed to do for other bands, so he came up to my studio here in Hendersonville and laid those down, and we sent it off to the bands. But I was like, before he came up, I was like, how about one more feature? I've got this part cooking.
Yep.
And your voice would sound perfect for it. So he came up here and we knocked out a few other things, and then he did ours. And he's just such a talented vocalist and a sweetheart. And honestly, I like learning from him because he is a really good vocalist, and especially like screaming. Like, I know he went to Melissa Cross and has a relationship with her, and I went very early on and Haste Today and did some work with Melissa Cross as well. But that was back in 2006, like years and years ago. I wish that I could do it again.
Sure.
But yeah, so just being able to pick his brain vocally and see how he works, and his range of like screaming vocals is so like big and broad, and he is very good. So yeah, it was just cool to have him here in the studio and watch him do that. And the part turned out so great.
Yeah.
We're really just really stoked on it.
Really did. Now, speaking of Silent Planet, you guys had kind of been out of the, well, not really. I mean, you had your stint, playing with a Cities Burn and stuff. So like, but like you weren't in the vocalist game for quite some time. Did you find that, like getting prepared for Furnace Fest, those couple of years ago, was there like a lot that you needed to do to get your voice, show ready?
It was more my body. I felt like it was like, it was because it's such a intense thing what you're doing. You have to have such crazy core strength and breath control and breath support throughout it. So I did high intensity workouts like several times a week, just getting ready for it. I even would do a workout and like put the songs on while I was doing it, and just kind of like basically sing the songs while I was doing like high intensity stuff. I actually just started doing that again for these shows we have coming up, because it really is like, I mean, I'm pretty fit. Like I run all the time. I work out all the time. But it is a different thing to be able to sing, scream, and have the, not be winded after jumping up and down and throwing myself into the crowd and all that stuff. So, it's a lot. And just like, I mean, screaming is not a natural thing for me.
Right.
Singing more so, maybe not in the ranges that I choose to sing and Haste the Day. For some reason, I just pick like the absolute top of my range for some dumb reason. Like, I like the way it sounds. I like the way it feels. Why not, And doing one song at a time is like easy. Like, I'll do that song. But when you do, 12 songs in a row or on these shows coming up, we'll have 15 songs. So
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
like, it's a long set for me.
Yep. And homie shows you the set list and you're like, can we move these to
Yeah,
there
no,
and
I
these to
just,
there? And, give me a little
yeah,
break, guys. Jesus,
yeah, it is hard. So yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and it's when you're on tour all the time. It's like we used to use like the first like 3 shows as like our warm up, right?
Right.
So the first 3 shows would kind of be rough, and by show 4, we're like getting in the groove, and by show 42, you're like on it.
Yep.
You're conditioned, you're ready to go, you sound awesome.
Yep.
But we don't have that luxury. We don't tour anymore. We
Right.
do one-off shows. So like we'll fly in and do 1 show or 2 shows, And so it takes, basically we need a tour's worth of conditioning before we jump into a show season. So yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I heard that somebody brought it to my attention recently that Taylor Swift for the Eras tour would it was like 44 songs she had to do. So she'd run on the treadmill and sing all 44 songs in a row while she was running. And it's like, I mean, that's what you have to do. Like the amount of work that goes into doing a show like this is crazy. Or else we just look like, old burnout people. And that's just not what we want to do. We want to attack this with some excellence and do the absolute best. And that was like the goal getting back together is like, of course, we don't want to do this. Like, although it might be a part-time thing for us, we don't want to do it half-assed. Like we want it to be, we want to be the best that we've ever been.
Right. Yeah. And people are paying their money to see you. So, give them what they're paying for, which is, an incredible performance, something that, they can leave thinking like, damn, man, Haste today like hasn't missed a beat, and and then, harken it back to the old days when they saw you back in 08, 09, and they're like, man, like, they're playing some songs, that I haven't heard in years. And, that will pop the crowd in itself. But when you do it in a way that's like sharp and nuanced and just like really kind of make it palpable for the crowd, they're going to eat it up. So, I commend you for what you're doing. And for anyone that says Taylor Swift sucks, they can go kick rocks, man, because
dude, that's a long set, man. I can't even imagine it, man. That's probably why she's one of the most successful
and I mean,
folks out there.
I mean, I've seen Springsteen a couple of times and love him to death, man. But like his voice, on the first song of the set list versus the 30th, you can hear it, man. And I mean,
it's gone.
It's that Springsteen rasp is like, what draws people to him sometimes. But I mean, like it gone, like gone, and like and maybe he's earned that over his extensive years of touring and being a musician, and that's fine. I'll give it to him. But as a band that's getting back into this expanse in 2025, 2026, there's so many bands that are so good. You got to put it all out there, because if you don't, they're just going to move on to the next craze in metalcore, and all of a sudden you get left behind. And how shitty would that be for such a great record like Dissenter? And if you guys can't replicate it, now you're just you're awash in the sea of bands that haven't been able to do it. But just to make a quick transition off of that, so being that you've been doing this for 20 plus years, are there any bands in like today's landscape of metalcore, hardcore, whatever you might want to call it, that are kind of giving you that like that early to mid 2000s ethos? Like it might not necessarily be that they sound like that, but maybe like their drive and their passion kind of reminds you of it, or some of how they're approaching how they're making and selling records. Have there been any bands that have really stood out to you to be like, wow, like these guys could do it?
I mean, honestly, I don't keep up too much with the scene.
That's okay.
I will say that Knocked Loose has been like, when I heard them, I'd heard of them for a while, because they were around for a while before they blew up.
Oh yeah.
But like, and I just love the name Knocked Loose. I think it's just such a smart name.
Oh, it is.
But they I remember listening to them like after, I can't remember what record, one of the newer ones.
Sure.
And I was just like, this sounds like I'm in high school. Like the only difference is it's downtuned. Like it would have been in drop C if it was if I were in high school, which was downtuned to us. Like that was like, you know, if you were in drop C, you were heavy.
You were heavy.
Like, and now it's again like drop G sharp or something.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just, it is heavy, it is aggressive, and it truly is like a throwback to what I remember playing in I had a van. It was like a conversion van, and I'd like roll the windows down and blast, I don't know, some face down band or solid state band or whatever, just to show everybody that
love for enemies. Why not? You know?
Yeah, sure. Nodes of Ranvier was one of them.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so that band just like does such a good job, and the whole package too, like the entire package of what they do, the art, the live show, everything is on lock. But I even noticed like every once in a while I'll pull up like some Spotify playlist where it's just like newer bands. And again, I don't listen to this kind of music much anymore. Like I appreciate it and I like it. But I also don't listen to a whole lot of like pop punk or emo anymore either.
Right. Sure. No, I get it.
When I'm feeling nostalgic, I do, but I listen to those bands that I like listened to when I was younger.
For sure.
And so I hear these bands every once in a while. I'm like, dude, this sounds like 2004. Like this really does sound like 2004.
Yeah.
And and then I'll like look at these kids that are in this band. It's like, you guys are in your early 20s. What are you doing? Like, what do you like? How did you know? Like, did you really just like find all of these bands? And somebody, I can't remember what the band is called, but some friends of mine saw this band at a show recently, and I wish I could remember the name of the band, but she took a picture of the singer and sent it to me, and the dude was wearing a white belt. Like, do you remember that? Like,
sure do.
He was wearing these skinny jeans with the flare, with the boot cut flare at the bottom.
Yep.
And a big white belt and a like tight shirt that went up to like the top of the belt. And I was just like, oh my God, I remember walking around Cornerstone wearing that. Like, that was with my hair dyed black, and you know, I thought I was really cool. I had a Norma Jean shirt on.
I was going to say, it screams to me that, and you know, and Norma Jean has been one of those bands who have been great for forever, like ever.
Yeah. With
the exception of this one period for like 6 months when they couldn't figure out who their vocalist was after Josh left. They get so much
Brad.
And they get so much shit for it. And I think the reason they get so much shit for it is because that Hellfest 04 DVD put out that iteration of the band doing Memphis Will Be Laid to Waste, and it was just so awful. But
that was that little guy, right?
Yeah, he literally like the song starts and he just goes wow, and I was just like, oh no. But like I can picture him with his like foppish black hair, his white belt, his like skinny black jeans, his tight black shirt, and you know the rest of the band is just around him doing Norma Jean stuff. So they're just like you know, causing a ruckus. But this poor vocalist is just left out to dry. And like,
dude, I was in the front row at that show when he played at Cervantes in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
They came through and I saw them with him, and I was like, I mean, I didn't care. I had a blast.
Right.
I mean, I was in the front row. I was like moshing. I got on stage and he pushed me off stage.
What a dick.
Yeah. And he just like pushed us off stage, and I like hit my head pretty hard. Geez, but I had so much fun at that show. I didn't really care.
I remember,
but then when they got Corey, I was like, oh, thank God, this guy rules.
Seriously, thank God. I remember when they put out Oh God, the Aftermath. And I remember like having the album in my hand and not having listened to it yet. And I'm just like, oh my God, like what is this gonna be? Like what is this gonna be? And then I put it in my CD player, and the first track kind of blared through, and I was like, we're firing on all cylinders. And I mean, he's been good ever since. Like he's literally fit that band, dare I say, maybe better than Josh ever did. And I mean, I know that's heresy to some people.
I mean, well, Josh was in the band for one record.
And
he's done a ton of records. And dude, yeah, Bless the Martyr will always be like
the quintessential
GOAT for me. But what Corey was able to do, what he was able to do with that band is just incredible. Just what the records that continue to come out, every one of them, I'm like, this is sick, dude. Like he just has a really good musical taste and vision, I think. So
and he kind of knew where to, like, how to take that band into different directions, and I think he was very caught up with what was going on in the music scene to just be a couple steps ahead of it. Like, you know, Oh God, the Aftermath came out and it still had that like chaotic kind of brand that Bless the Martyr had, but it was a little bit more structured. This, like, you know, there weren't any more 11 or 12 minute like long droning songs and all that kind of stuff. And I think that was probably good. And what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? I mean, you know, I think that's kind of the way it moved. But it's just, speaking of Josh, you know, I don't know if you're a big 68 fan, but he just finally announced that after, I think, for doing it for about 11, 12 years or however long he's done it, he's finally putting it to bed. And honestly, I couldn't be more happy for him, man. The man's catalog over the past, you know, if you dive back to Ludacris, right, and call it 30 years.
Yeah, he's been on the road for 30 years. Yeah. He is a hard-working dude.
Sure is.
Also one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. I love hanging out with that guy. He is hilarious.
I've heard that about him. I've heard that he's always quick with a quip, and you know, and I think that having that slick tongue is like kind of like something that like some of the like hardcore and metalcore vocalists over time kind of have had, just because there's so much tongue in cheek in that lyricism. So to go way back in time, right? So I just want to get your initial impression of Burning Bridges kind of as an outsider looking in, right? Because you know, you were asked to join the band, you know, after those first two records had come out, and Burning Bridges was the one that kind of put them into the stratosphere that we kind of know Haste the Day to be in. So like, what was your impression of that record? That's part A of the question. I guess part B could be, like, is there still excitement in performing the songs that like you weren't a part of creating, and like that you're able to like just say, okay, I'm going to put my own spin on this and make it my own. So I guess question A, what was your impression of Burning Bridges? And part B, is there excitement around performing those songs for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Burning Bridges put Haste the Day on the map for me. Like, they hadn't sold me yet. Like, I liked it. I'm not like I do like hardcore, but I don't like care so much about breakdowns that much. It's like, you know, I need some melody in there. I need some like, all my friends were like, you know, they were cool with like basketball shorts. That's what we used to always like cut, like the jerseys and basketball short like crew at the show. And I was maybe more into post-hardcore or stuff like that. But I really liked everything, and I was a big fan of Zayo, so like it was what got me into them. Was like, oh, this kind of sounds like Zayo. It's like kind of a hardcore version of Zayo, right?
I agree.
Where Zayo's like the cinematic metal, you know, then you go to like, okay, cool, I dig it. Like, they're on the map. Like, I'll throw the record on every once in a while. But then when Everything Falls came out, and I remember when they dropped the single of When Everything Falls, my friends like rushed over, the guys who were in my band, like, because we were getting progressively heavier. We started as like an emo band when I was in 9th grade. We moved to like post-hardcore, and then like the next record after that was like metalcore, I guess, is like what we ended up in. And I remember they came over and they're like, they called me Steve. Nobody else is allowed to call me Steve. But, and Dave, our guitar player in Haste the Day, he was in that band too. And so he came over, he's like, Steve, you have to listen to this. Like, this song is insane. And I think he pulled it up on MySpace or Pure Volume or one of those. And just from the very beginning breakdown, I was like, okay, yeah, this is sick. All right, I like this. But then when we got to that first chorus, I was like, this is it. This is what we want to write. Like, this is the kind of band we want to be.
100%.
Like, this is it really like locked in, like, okay, like you have catchy choruses, like, and it kind of was giving me a similar vibe to Beloved, which I freaking loved.
Beloved.
Beloved.
So
They're
good.
just so good. The guitar playing is unbelievable. The vocals are unbelievable. And the melodies, man, they just stick with you. They're there, but it's just heavy enough to where you can get your aggression out. And so yeah, I mean, it just like, it really locked in, like, okay, Haste the Day has a sound that we are pursuing. Like, that sound is what we want to pursue.
Sure.
And we never sounded like that, and it's funny because like my singing vocals are so much different than Brennan's. And I couldn't even sing like Brennan if I tried. I mean, he's a baritone and I'm a high tenor. So like, it's very different. But yeah, so Burning Bridges got me in the Haste the Day door. And I was like, yeah, I think that we're on to something here. This is cool. And then When Everything Falls sealed the deal for me. And the second part of your question, there is still excitement to play those old songs because of the crowd response. Like, it's just, and honestly, it's like a nice break for me vocally because there's barely any vocals for me. in those songs. So it's mostly riffs, so I can just have fun and like take a breath for a second.
Yeah. Whereas
like the songs that I write are just like, for some dumb reason, they're like wall to wall vocals and I can't find a breath. But that's just, whenever we're in the studio, I'm only concerned about the studio. I only think about the studio. How can we make this song sound the coolest we can possibly make it?
Not
and
how
can we
replicate it, right? Yep.
Yeah. And I don't care about that. Like, well, that's future Steven's problem. We'll worry about that later.
We'll figure it out.
And so, but yeah, as soon as we drop into Blue 42, it's like, it's on. Like, let's go.
It's like a wave, I'm sure. Yeah.
And this is going to be a hot take, I do not like playing American Love. I can't stand it.
Really?
Yeah, it's just, the first 300 times I heard it and played it,
right,
I was like, yeah, this is cool. After you've played it every night for 4 years in a row,
right,
you start to just get really bored during that part, and you don't want to hear it anymore.
I get that, man. I do.
And as far as like my critique on that song is that the lyrics, it's two different songs. I mean, that's really what it is. You have this like spiritual outcry from Jimmy, which is really beautiful lyrics, exchanging beauty for the ashes, awesome. Given my heart to, like, nothing real, like, it really, really like heartfelt lyrics. And then it switches to like a Michael Bolton song, all of a sudden.
Oh my God. Okay.
And it's like a love song. And, it's just so funny. So it's like, it's kind of a silly song to begin with.
Sure.
There are some just really great riffs. And when I step back and I listen to it, I think this was before Furnace Fest when I finally listened to it again for the first time in forever, like stepped back and just like took it in as a whole. And I was like, okay, listen, those riffs are really good.
Right.
Like, that's sick. Like, and for the time it was perfect. And yes, I think that it's an awesome song.
Yeah.
And also I'm tired of playing it.
Look, hey man, you don't have to explain yourself, because the reality is, I'm sure that there are a lot of people who like would try to have some more diplomatic answers. But the reality is, like, you've earned your time. You dug your trenches. Like, you don't have to be diplomatic. Like, I was kind of half expecting you to be like, for me to be like, Blue 42, and you'd be like, fucking Blue 42. Come on,
that one for some reason is just like, it's such a bop, as they say.
Yeah,
that, like,
it is.
And it's just so it's just a fun song all the way through.
And it's like
the whole thing is just like, there's no like,
and it's a 5-minute long song, and it doesn't really feel like 5 minutes. It just kind of goes quick. It's like, I feel like when Under Oath put out, just to use it as like a comparison, when Under Oath had put out Lost in the Sound of Separation, when they started to get really kind of like noodly and ethereal on like a lot of their stuff, like I remember listening to it for the first time and being like, this isn't reinventing your exit. Like, what the?
Yeah.
But then, like, when I finally like got like a decent pair of headphones and like sat down with it and was like, oh my god, like
It's a cool
this record
album.
is like changing the name of the game, right?
Was that their first one with Daniel on drums, or was that the next one after that?
No, I think it was in the next one. You'd have to check me on that, but I think it might have been the next one after that. I think Disambiguation was the first one that had Daniel.
Disambiguation.
Yeah, that was the one.
Oh, the drumming was so cool on that one.
So good.
I'm a big fan.
But speaking of drumming, I mean, you know, Giuseppe, man. I mean, like let's just.
Monster.
I mean, so it's funny. I you know, like through doing my due diligence, I didn't even realize that Giuseppe had played with Haste Today for so long. And then I kind of did a little bit of researching and I realized like, wow, like Haste Today is like the band that like Giuseppe really kind of broke into this like type of music. I mean, like, and then, now he's playing with the Devil Wears Prada. Is it tough for you guys to like figure out how like splitting time works, or is it really not an issue for you because you guys are really just doing like one-offs here and there?
I mean, yeah, we plan our schedule around Devil Wears Prada's schedule. Okay. So, I mean,
got it.
But at the same time, it works out for us because, I mean, we all have jobs. We all have stuff we got to do. We're planning our shows around two things. When is the Devil Wears Prada off?
Right.
So we can have Giuseppe. Sure. And, how's everybody's PTO looking?
Look,
which is like,
yeah.
I'm my own boss, so I don't have any PTO. But yeah, a lot of the guys, like, we've got to make sure,
that's the reality.
We got to make sure that,
that's the reality of it, because
get through it.
Because, I'm sure that, once the record comes out, you guys are gonna, I'm sure you're gonna see some dividends from the record and all that kind of stuff. But,
maybe.
And like, if you're not committing to being a full-time touring band, that's what you have to do. You have to say, oh, I get 2 weeks of PTO. Let's do a long weekend here and then a long weekend here. And then, there's a federal holiday coming up. Let's build some PTO around that federal holiday so we can get out on the road for a little bit longer and maybe hit like some of the cities we haven't hit. I get that. And I think that that's a very responsible way to do it, because you could just be like, get the finished product in your hands and be like, this record is so sick, let's go everywhere. But the reality is, like, you can't do that unless you're going to commit to, eating McDoubles and, off the Taco Bell dollar menu. And like, who wants to do that at like,
I did eat a McChicken today. A snack wrap.
What was it like for you? Was it a good experience or a bad experience?
It wasn't my preferred experience. I mean, I don't hate McDonald's. It's cool. Yeah. My son had a baseball game today, and we were starving, and
but
we're living that baseball game life, dude.
I was gonna say, because
that's a lot. Like last night, we were at the ball field until almost 10 p.m.
Yikes!
And he's 7. He's 7 years old. And today we were there from 12 o'clock to, it was like, I feel like it was like 2:30 or 3 even, because it rained. There was like a freak rainstorm in the middle of the game. They still had like 2 innings to do left.
So I have to call it back and then put them back out.
So we're all just like huddled for like 30 minutes, maybe even 45 minutes. We're just huddled under the enclosure, just waiting for the rain to stop.
Yeah.
It said, we looked at the weather app and it said, it was like, it's not raining. It's like sunny out right now.
You're like, well.
And I'm like, no, it is like full on Tennessee frog choker, as my mom would say.
I was gonna say, I lived in Florida for 5 years, in Orlando specifically, and like that was every day in the summer. It's just like, oh my god,
it's gonna rain at some point.
Oh my god, it's so hot. Nobody should be out in this weather. And then 3 o'clock, the rain comes, and then everybody comes out because everyone's like, oh, the temperature dropped 20 degrees. Let's go do stuff. It's so funny. The first summer that I was there with my now ex-wife, we were in a Bed Bath & Beyond on like a Saturday. Right. And I mean, I grew up, Long Island, New York, where a Bed Bath & Beyond on a weekend is always mobbed.
Right.
So like we park and we realize there's like 6 cars in the parking lot. We're just like, okay. So we go in and it's probably like noon. We go in and it's deserted. So now, like, I'm looking at my wife. I'm like, is there something we missed? Like, what is it? So we get up to the counter lady after we got all our stuff, and I'm like, hey, I gotta ask you, like, every time I've ever been to a Bed Bath and Beyond anywhere else in the country, like on a Saturday, it's always like wall to wall people. I'm like, what is going on? And then she's like, oh, you're not Floridian, are you? And I'm like, no, 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 we grew up, up north. And she's like, so here's the skinny. And then she proceeds to tell me that from like 10 a.m. to like 3 p.m., people don't go out. They either go out
Yeah.
from like 6 a.m. to 9 to beat that like oppressive heat before it gets too hot, or they go out after the rain comes at like 4 p.m. because it's cooler, but the humidity doesn't ever go anywhere. So like maybe it drops from 95 to 80, but you're still at like 97% humidity and you still hate it. And all you want to do is just go from your air conditioned car to your air conditioned apartment and like maybe go in the pool at some point. Like that's all you ever want to do.
I'm not a hot weather person. I mean, even at the baseball game today, I mean, it was really nice outside. I think maybe it was high of 80 or something.
Right.
Maybe even less. It really wasn't hot. But in the sun, I don't like the sun. I'm like standing in the sun. I'm just like, feel like I'm gonna melt. Like my skin is not designed for this kind of thing. So I'm like hiding in the shade, like just like please. And it's only gonna get worse.
And I'm a big guy, so if like we stood next to each other, like you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a pretty big guy. And like 5 summers in Orlando is about all that I was. I was signing up to do.
I'm impressed you made it that far.
I don't know, man. I don't know how I did. I want to talk a little bit about Coward, just because I think it's a really interesting thing that you guys did. So, you had your initial breakup, 2010, 2011, this kind of hiatus through 2015 where Coward starts to come together and you guys decide you want to bring back pretty much everybody from Haste the Day's tenure, lineage, call it, and, put it all together on like one kind of record that seems to be more, if anything, for the fan base than it may have even been for you guys personally. At least that's what I get out of it when I like look into the lore of it and stuff. So what was the recording process and the conceptualization process like that? I know this was the first record that you took over production duties on completely. So you had that one feather in your cap, but you're also the lead vocalist, juggling other vocalists and other members that are playing instruments and all this kind of stuff. So was it a tumultuous kind of thing? Was there any like I guess like any anecdotes from that time that you can remember that like were interesting? Was there any like difficulty in doing that, or did it all kind of come together pretty evenly for you?
So first off, I love that record. Like it turned out
it's a great record.
Really cool.
Record.
And we got to do some like really fun stuff. And me and Scotty really developed a writing groove during that record where we were like, I'd write something and send it to him and he'd write something and send it to me. But that was a very difficult record. When it came time to scheduling everybody, I mean, we're talking about 9 people.
Sure.
And it's really hard to make 9 people happy. And so it's, there was different levels of involvement and also I really think that there was some unresolved stuff that we were eventually able to resolve during that whole process when it came to like, but we didn't even know it was there necessarily.
Sure.
And it was a really important record for us because I think it built some bridges back that maybe had been burned, no pun intended.
Sure.
And it healed some relationships, while also maybe straining others. I don't know exactly, but you can't make everybody happy. So I think everybody at the end is stoked on that record, or like stoked on the experience, and but we had a blast. Me and Scotty had a blast making that record, and Dave and like I remember we did Giuseppe's drums at Glow in the Dark Studios in Atlanta, which is Matt Goldman's studio.
Oh wow, okay.
We worked with Lane Johnson, who worked a lot with Goldman. great drum engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just a lot of fun. We got to do a lot of cool stuff that, like, you know, I wanted to put kind of a punk hardcore edge on that album that mixed with like Scotty's like ambient guitars and stuff like that. Like it just turned out to be a cool mix of like different styles that like kind of converged into one.
I was going to say it's sonically, honestly, it's sonically very different than the rest of the catalog. And then I think, you know, and again, I'm just going off of the 4 singles, but I feel like Dissenter is going to probably be another drift in a sonic direction for you guys that is going to be very interesting for like kind of what, you know, the Haste the Day, you know, what's that, the yodeler from the Price is Right, yodelay, 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 and like it seems like you guys are still climbing. You know, you haven't hit that peak and that drop off yet. And I'm sure you probably thought that you did, you know, during Wolf King and, you know, during all of that tumultuousness that, you know, happened that led to you guys saying, okay, you know, we're done with this for a while. But now as far as producing, you know, that record, did you find that like your production ear was like stronger than your like your vocalist ear? I guess like what I mean to say is like, was the producer pen more poignant than the vocalist pen? Like were you able to do more as a producer with that record, do you feel?
Yeah, I think always, especially in, you know, the later part of my life, like the producer, I kind of come at everything like a producer. Sure. Like first, before I'm a vocalist, like let's work out the song as a whole. Sure. And let's look at the entirety of the song. Let's look at the guitar. Let's look at the drums. Let's look at everything. And then, and the vocals play a part of that. But I have way more fun producing than doing vocals. Right. And I am super proud of the vocals on Coward, but also the lyrics. Just to talk about the lyrics for a second. Those were so important for me to write at that time. I still think about, like, there's a song on that record about my grandfather. It's called Reconcile, and he actually he died at sea. So like he went out fishing and a storm hit, and he lived in North Carolina, went out fishing and the storm hit, and
that was it.
You know, died. That was it. And so the song is about his final moments, but he had a really tumultuous life. He had some things, like he wasn't a great father all the time. Maybe sometimes he was okay. He struggled with alcohol, and he struggled with women sometimes. I don't know if my grandmother would like me telling people this.
I get it.
Yeah. But it was a tough life. And I was really processing this, like, there is a beauty in death. And I was just thinking about, okay, you know that scene in Lord of the Rings where Gandalf is talking to Pippin about what's after death?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. So I just had this, like, and that's where Shadow goes right after. So Shadow is like part 2 of Reconcile. But just thinking about, like, he's taking his last breaths, probably making peace with God, because he was a pastor.
Wow.
And he was in and out of churches because of his vices. Okay. And he was a Free Will Baptist pastor. So it was like his vices were terrible, especially for the denomination that he was in.
Sure.
And yeah, he it's just one of those songs where processing it, like, gave me so much more appreciation for him, even though he made people around him suffer, and that sucks. Yeah. And also, like, I believe in redemption, and I believe in grace, and I believe in forgiveness. And so yeah, so that was, the lyrics were really important to me. I still look back and I'm really proud of those lyrics. Some of the vocal performance, I think, was like, I'm way more proud of what's on Dissenter than I am of what I did on Coward. But I was like, you know, I'm a big fan of Comeback Kid. I'm a big fan of that, like, just like yell, scream, sing thing. And I was really doing that a lot. And it's cool and it's kind of punk and I like it. Very different from Attack of the Wolf King. And part of that is because I thought nobody liked Attack of the Wolf King. So I changed it up, you know?
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
And then coming back, we realized that like it's a lot of people's favorite record. And we were like, where were you guys? They didn't even know about it until like 2015, like years after we broke up. And it's just like, where have you guys been?
Man, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I think about that all the time when I think about American football. So American football, I think like when their initial iteration, I think they played like their last show in like Chicago in like 1998. And I think maybe there were like 60, 70 people there.
Wow.
And then
their
first show back, I want to say it was 2011, 2012. They played Webster Hall and they played the big room. And I mean, it's like 1,500 people and it sold out in like 45 minutes. And I can't imagine that, you know, Mike Kinsella, the vocalist, didn't like look out into the crowd and think to himself, where were all of you guys? Like when we put out this record that like now is like the soundtrack to your life, like where, you know, like where, like what like why wasn't I able to make a dime then? And now all of a sudden, like, and that's got to be a tough thing to reconcile with as a musician, because like, you know, the stuff you wrote in 1998, you know, it's not changing. It's on record. It's there. It's part of the, you know, the litmus test of what emo music was then, you know, the second wave, quote unquote, of emo music. And now, you know, it's back and they're about to release their fourth record. Well, their third record back. And it's just like, you know, they couldn't have had that resurgence had it not been for that one record they put out that they probably thought, much like you did with Wolf King, that, oh, nobody likes this. And now all of a sudden, you know, people are like, you know, play more off of this record and play more off of this record. And you're just like, I didn't think you guys liked any of this shit. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, what's going on here?
So I get that. But so I would be remiss if I did not mention, just because I love Scarlet. I love Scarlet so much. As you guys worked with Andreas on I think Wolf King and Dreamers, right?
Yeah. Dreamer, yeah.
So what was that experience like? Because Scarlet to me is very much like post-hardcore, like kind of like in the realm of what, you know, you say, like kind of leached into you the most. So do you feel like him kind of being a post-hardcore guy, like sort of lent anything to those two records, or you know, what was it like working with him?
Yeah, I mean, he had such a sound back then, and we heard that Oh Sleeper record. What was that first one?
The one with When I Am God.
Yeah. So we heard that and we were like, this is sick. There was like so much, because I always liked post-hardcore. So like that was like what I tended to like more than anything. And even like Devin from our old drummer, you know, he would say that like Dreamer, I was trying to push our band into the post-hardcore space, even though Haste Today has no reason to be in that space.
Right,
like,
exactly.
But that's why that record turned out so interesting. I mean, there's like a lot of interesting elements to that record. But really, we just love the atmosphere and the like, just what they were able to do with, or what he was able to do with Oh Sleeper. And so we reached out to him, and that record with Dreamer, we wanted to do it in Indianapolis. So he actually came from Richmond and worked with us at this studio in Indianapolis while we were at home. So, but yeah, it turned out really cool. Then when we went back with him for Attack the Wolf King, same thing. Like it was definitely a cleaner album than we had anticipated it being. Because his style is very Like it's very clean.
Mm.
Like everything is very like on the grid, punchy, super clean.
Yeah.
And that record is that. It's very clean. And I guess that would maybe be our only gripe about that record, but that record just was so fun to make, and Andreas is such a great dude and fun to hang out with, and a great producer. Like the dude puts the time and the energy into making it sound good, you know. Like I remember, like, I mean, it's a shame because we spent like a day and a half hitting a snare drum trying to get this Foo Fighters snare sound. And of course it was just replaced in the last minute by Jason Sukoff. But we're like, what happened to the snare? It like is just a sample now. That's what it sounds like. But yeah, it was one of those things. But yeah, Andreas is cool. He's and also I'm also a big Scarlet fan. Like I remember, I mean, that was a big reason why I wanted to work with him again with the post-hardcore thing. Like I just thought it was really cool, and it was like post-hardcore, but also kind of not grindcore.
It was loud. It was loud.
It was loud. It was just loud and weird and interesting. And
Cult Classic was such a record. Such a record.
Very cool record. What was that EP they did? Something to Lust About? Is that what it was called?
Yes. It's like something songs to lust about or something it was. Yeah, that one was good too. That's wild. Maybe when we get off this call, you could just slide me his info so I could be like, hey man, you want to be on this podcast? I can talk to you about Scarlet. I'm sure he'd be like, yeah man, that was like 20 years ago. I've been doing way cooler stuff, but sure. So before I do let you go, I gotta talk a little bit about A Cities Burn, because as much as I love Haste Today, A Cities Burn are like one of my favorite bands in that hardcore, post-hardcore, whatever space you want to call it. From Son, I Loved You at Your Darkest through Scream Through the Walls. I mean, just an incredible expanse of music. So, I know you kind of joined them right when they were about to go on this like enormous tour supporting like Under Oath's Farewell, so that must have been like insane for you, like to have to learn an entire set knowing that like all of these eyes and ears were going to be on you. Do you remember anything about learning those songs and getting ready for that tour? Was it like a really like kind of hunker down and get it done, like, or did you have a lot of time to get prepared, or what was that like for you?
So the first shows that I did with them was actually before the Under Oath tour. We did a Europe tour. We played a few shows, and we were doing it. It was without TJ at that time, so it was just 4-piece. Aaron, Cody, Chris Lott, me, and that was so much fun. Like, and I listened to those records so many times, like, Come Now Sleep and Hell or High Water.
High Water, yeah, great.
I listened to them all the time, and so it was pretty easy for me to pick up the songs on bass, and I just had a blast doing it. And yeah, those I don't think I had ever experienced just playing in a band yet. Because in all the bands that I'd ever been in, I was either playing and singing or just singing. So like, it was so freeing and just like one of the most fun things that I could do. I was just like, dude, I could just drink beer and play bass. Like, this is cool, man. This is awesome. This is like no pressure whatsoever. This is awesome.
Every bass player's dream, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd never played bass in a band before. So I was like, this is like, usually I would just play like, whatever bass I needed to get the idea down.
Yeah, root notes, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was really fun. And those parts are so fun. They're very bass-centered parts.
I agree. Yeah.
And so I worked really hard on just getting really tight and playing as perfectly as I could, and it was really fun. And then we did that Under Oath tour. It was like 2.5 weeks, and that was a blast. That was just like, I remember having so much fun on that tour. TJ came back and we did a lot of the older songs, and which was super fun. I liked playing the other 2 records more because I got the music a little bit more. Like, as far as like, it was more structured. It was like less, it was way easier to memorize because it was like, okay, yeah, you've got like the verse. And then
it wasn't like riff A, riff B, riff C, riff D, riff E. Yeah, no, I get it.
Some of those is like, riff A for 3.5 times.
Yep.
And then into riff B at a different tempo for... and then change keys. And it was just like, that's just the nature of that style of music back then, which I had never really played. I was always on the singing side of that. So it was like, I had to think a lot more about those songs. And it was more of a feel and it was like you're kind of drunk while you're playing it, and which I probably was several times.
Hey man, look.
Back then I was. I remember quitting drinking when I came home from that tour. I was like, that's too much, and I quit for like a few weeks anyway.
Yeah.
Now I don't drink at all, but it was a fun time.
Yeah, I'm glad for you, man, and I think having the 2 separate experiences of kind of being the front man in the band who everyone is always kind of looking at. And then like being the bass player in a band who like,
nobody cared.
I was
going to
say, I feel bad saying it, but like the bassist, everybody just kind of looks past the bassist, It
was awesome. And nobody was like, I don't know. Like, I mean, with Haste Today, there's always that, like, bring Jimmy back, thing somewhere in there. It's going to be in the comment sections a few times. It's going to be in the, like, somebody's going to come up to me after the show and say like, hey, it's so good to see you guys. I wish I could have seen Jimmy. Like, yeah, dude. I mean,
that's like such a fucked up thing to say to somebody. Like,
it happens more often than you would think.
Oh
my God. There's so many. I mean, I remember, this is a really funny story. It was my first tour with Haste Today. No, first headlining tour. I can't remember. It was in Wichita, Kansas.
Okay.
And we were playing a little like Eagles Lodge or something like that. VFW Hall or something like that. And this kid gets like knocked out there's like no stage. So this kid gets knocked out, and I run outside and I check on him and I'm giving him water, and he comes to and he looks at me. He's like, oh, dude, you're that guy from Haste Today. Cool. And I was like, yeah, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, man, I wish I could have seen Jimmy live. And like, you're just like, I was like, okay, but like, you're feeling okay? Okay. You got your water? Cool. I'm going to go finish the set or whatever it was.
I would have just dumped water right on that kid. I would have been like,
okay,
enjoy your water.
It's like, I was like, Jimmy quit the band, and then they asked me to be in. I'm not like, I didn't push him out.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Jimmy quit.
And I think there's probably so many people that don't take the time to understand that. And I think that probably happens a lot with so many bands where, like you clamor for that original lineup, but like the reality is like as much as I love Jimmy's vocals on like those first 2 records, it's like, it's very obvious that like they've taken all of these strides with you at the helm that like, who knows if they would have taken had Jimmy stayed in the band. Like, would there have been like a Wolf King? Probably not. Like, and that's kind of something to think about. And I think that, our listeners and your listeners alike that are listening to this and maybe thinking to themselves like, oh, this was a cool interview, but like, I wish Jimmy was still in the band. Like maybe they can, they can get some water dumped on them and realize that like,
you always have those early records, man. You always have those early records. They're not going anywhere.
That's true. That's true.
You've got them. And like, yeah, we did a bunch of stuff that, there's some videos online of 2023 when he came up on Furnace Fest.
Right on, yeah.
Wild, dude. And he just nailed it. It was just so cool and so high energy. And I was like, dude, he's got 2 songs.
Right.
To just give it all in those 2 songs. Just like go for it. And I'm like pacing myself, I have to pace myself so I can sing the parts.
Ripping his vocal
and he just
cords apart.
Dude, but it was so cool and badass.
I love that, man.
But yeah, I mean, he's great. He's such a presence.
Mm-hmm.
His personality is such a presence. And it's always been kind of hard for me to you know, I can't compete with that.
Right.
Like,
Of course.
I'm not that, what's the word? Charismatic. Or he has this way of making people feel seen, that I admire. You know, he's, and I remember even when I first joined the band, he was so encouraging to me, and I wouldn't have been able to like get through all of that without him being in my corner and being encouraging. He still is that way.
Love
and
that.
Super cool guy. So yeah. I think maybe it's time for us to make a shirt that says "Bring Jimmy back."
Hell yeah, man! Block letters. Yep, there you go.
Just big block letters.
Gold
that say, "Bring
foil,
Jimmy back." I'll wear it, dude.
Like 2010s.
Maybe
2010s early metalcore gold foil. Yeah, dude. I would buy that shirt. Oh, absolutely. I would buy that shirt in a heartbeat. But you know what?
I think we need to make that shirt.
I think you should.
As long as it's okay with him.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be. I'm sure it'll be. He'll probably get such a kick out of it, man. And and I'm sure that shirt would probably sell. Probably sell quite a bit.
Yeah, it would sell a lot. I think it would be a hot seller,
rad.
Hot item.
Dude, rad, man. This has been such a good time chatting with you, man. Getting to hear all these stories. So the one last question I did have for you, is of the tracks on Dissenter, is there one or two that you're like really excited to play live and to kind of hear come to fruition?
Yeah. Well, Adrift is like my favorite song on the album, probably.
Such a good song.
And it's like, man, it's such a vibe, and it lyrically is really important to us. So like that one is, that's fun. And I've been rehearsing it a bunch, and every time I'm just, this is just so fun to do. And I'm stoked on Oblivion. Oblivion is a lot harder of a song. And it's impossible to put in a set anywhere near the front. So, because it's just such an apocalyptic, like, it feels like the end. So it just, it's tough. So I am stoked on that one, but, as well. I love that song. But I am very nervous about that one. That one's like the one that, like, I mean, I can do it. I
believe
in you. The conditioning that like between now and that first show, it's, I mean, like I started like a week ago. It's a lot of work, but yeah, it's a tough one. But I think I'm also looking forward to a song that has not come out yet, called Grave. That one will drop, or that's the single or the one that we're putting out with the album. So like,
okay, got it. Yeah.
That one goes to the playlists and stuff like that. So, very excited about that one. It's awesome. Monstrous and, great chorus. And, I like singing. It's fun to me. And so like some of these songs don't have like, I mean, Adrift has no screaming on it, and Grave has only very little screaming on it, little bit of yelling, but yeah. So I'm stoked on all of them. I mean, honestly, like we had such a hard time picking which ones we're going to play live,
right?
And we're probably playing too many new songs live, but we're also playing a bunch of old songs.
There you go.
So that'll be fun too. And we are going to hit that Blue 42. It's going to be fun.
Yep.
We're going to jump around, and there's going to be a, big old bass solo and into that big breakdown. It'll be fun.
Oh yeah, man. Love that. Dude, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This has been a blast. I've been a fan of Haste today for, 20 years. So, getting to do this with you has been, really a lot of fun. I guess just before we do let you go, for anybody that's listening that might not be, aware of, how and where they can find you, where can they get you on socials, all that fun stuff, if you want to just give a quick synopsis.
Yeah. First and foremost, go to hastetheday.com and sign up for our email list. That is the hands down the best way for us to keep in touch with you. Secondly, go follow our Instagram. We post stuff on there all the time, but I can't guarantee that you're going to see our post. So, they like to hide that unless you pay them lots of money.
True.
So the best way to do it is just go to our website, sign up for the email list. You can also find all of our new Dissenter merch and the pre-orders happening right now for the vinyl. And you'll see all of our show dates as well, where there are links to tickets. So if you're in any of those cities that we're going to be playing, we would love to see you. We're playing Nashville, Pomona, California, Phoenix, Arizona, Seattle, Washington, and Portland, Oregon, and we just want to see you. So come say hey to us and get in the pit and jump up on the stage, and I'll give you the microphone. It'll be fun.
Love it. You heard it here first. And don't tell Steven any bullshit about no Jimmy.
You can. Hey, look, do it because it'll be a story that we'll talk about later. I'll talk about it on a podcast. Love that. If you do, but I won't like you any less.
There you go. I love that. Steven, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time you've taken. Really appreciate all of the great anecdotes and stories. And on that note, I've been Tommy V. This has been Steven from Haste the Day, and we will see you another time. Take care.
Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate it.
Later.